For more, we are pleased now to be joined via Skype by Harvard Law School professor and Newsmax contributor Alan Dershowitz. Alan is also the author of the book, Abraham, the World's First, but certainly not last, Jewish lawyer. And joining us now from Newsmax Washington, former U.S. Congressman representing Illinois, the one, the only, Michael Flanagan. I saw that little wave there. Michael, now the president of Flanagan Consulting. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And I know I called you professor. It's hard to get out of that habit. I keep wanting to call you that, but Michael Flanagan makes me feel better because he wants to call you that too. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us under these circumstances. Colonel Derek Harvey was on this very program last night, and he says that his experience is that investigators need to look more closely at mosques. Take a listen to what he had to say.
When I have worked these types of issues overseas, when you have a bombing and you know the source, you can find the mosque, and very often host countries, they go to the same place. They go to the mosque, they go to the imam, the same thing in France and Belgium, because that's where associations are made, and that's quite often where the fostering or the development of extremist ideology is penetrating the community.
Alan, I want to get reaction from you first, and I want to let our audience know and remind them that there was also the first American suicide bomber came from the same mosque where the shooter was attending in Fort Pierce, Florida. Alan, go ahead, your reaction.
First of all, the Constitution certainly permits surveillance of mosques. If something is open to the public, an FBI agent can go in there pretending to be a Muslim adherent, listen and take notes. The Supreme Court has explicitly said that's permissible. Is it a good idea? Will it, in fact, prevent acts of this kind? Will it intrude too deeply on religious sensibilities? Those are fair questions to ask, but the legal constitutional question has been resolved in favor of permitting surveillance of anything that's an open meeting and that is open generally to members of the public.
Michael, what do you think? Do we need to start monitoring mosques more?
Well, I think Alan is right, but I think you can even take it a step further, that even when it's not an open meeting, we have FISA courts, we have ways to obtain warrants, and through the ordinary procedures set up by Congress and enforced by the courts and the president, to be able to go ahead and do the surveillance that needs to be done if there is a reason over and above just a general looking at an open meeting. I think the tools are there. I think it can be done. I think it wasn't done in this case, and I think people are looking for a way to crawl out from under that.
Rich from Navarre, go ahead.
The FBI essentially thinks its job is to prosecute cases, and here we have a situation where the FBI looked at this guy twice and said there isn't enough to prosecute. But there may well have been enough to restrict his ability to buy guns. And there should be a special unit, either the FBI or the ATF or somebody, that isn't interested in prosecuting people, isn't looking for enough evidence to prosecute, but is looking for enough evidence to make sure that the person is on a list of people who can never, ever, under any circumstances, purchase a gun, certainly not an automatic or semi-automatic weapon.
We now want to go to Rich, who is joining us from Navarre, Florida. You had a comment about mosques. You believe that they should be monitored, correct?
Yeah, I do wholeheartedly. Thank you for having me on, Miranda, and also to all the panelists. The New York PD had a very successful program infiltrating and surveilling mosques that for a number of years prevented any serious incidents in New York. And it was only after a lawsuit by CARE and some legal decisions in New York that the NYPD was forced to drop that, and CARE has been active in suits all over the country in similar matters. Well, what we have here is a case where there is a clear and present danger that has been demonstrated, and the legal jurisprudence part of the equation has to relook at these decisions and give law enforcement the latitude they need to surveil these hotbeds of jihadist activity so that we can prevent incidents in the future.
And it needn't be only mosques. Many years ago, I had a case where I was representing the Jewish Defense League, which was a Jewish terrorist organization, and the New York City police infiltrated that organization. They got a Jewish man, a policeman, who joined the JDL, didn't really join, obviously, and got an enormous amount of information that prevented terrorist attacks. The same thing is true with some extremist Christian churches that believe in killing abortion doctors or others. It doesn't matter what the religion is or what the group is. It doesn't have to be a religion. If the government has a search warrant or if it's open to the public, the government has the legal authority to make sure that what is being told to people in the mosque or the synagogue or the church is being reported to the FBI if it's likely to result in crimes being committed.
Right, and we're talking about things being reported to the FBI. New details now are emerging about the shooter's wife, Noor Salman. According to the reports, she told the FBI that her husband shared plans with her and that prior to the night of that shooting, that she drove him to the Pulse nightclub where she tried to talk him out of conducting that attack. There are also some reports that she had gone with him to buy some of those weapons that you had mentioned, Alan Dershowitz. Michael Flanagan, I want to bring you in this conversation. Based on that account, is she considered an accomplice at this point, and will she face any charges? And if so, what would those charges be?
Well, I think in any ongoing investigation, they're going to look for accomplices with this, and I think she's at the top of the list. But the facts of the case will reveal themselves, and I don't think she's going to enjoy any special status because of the high number of murders. I think she's going to be under the proper amount of scrutiny. I can go back just one real quick to help Alan with his comments. He said the FBI has the authority to do these things. This is true. They also have the responsibility to do these things and to be able to show us where there are dangers in the Republic and where there are problems that are going to show up, even if only to flag a rifle. I think they failed in that responsibility here, whether they were guided to do so because of our desire not to put Islamic people under a special spotlight, or whether they just did so because, you know, they dropped the ball. But in any case, that's got to happen, and we can't let this go. Yeah.
The FBI has so much on its plate these days with people coming back from Syria, people who are openly jihadists, that it's awfully hard to criticize an excellent law enforcement authority for having potentially missed one. As far as the wife is concerned, it is not a crime to know about somebody else's potential criminal behavior. But if, in fact, she knew about it and drove him to buy weapons, although the weapon purchases were legal, but if she knew that he was going to be using those weapons for an illegal purpose, there is a potential conspiracy liability there. If she tried to persuade him not to do it, that might minimize her criminal liability. But knowledge alone and failure to report is not a crime. Now, maybe it should be. And in some parts of Europe, it is a crime to fail to report an ongoing potential terrorist act. And we have the ability to make that a crime. Again, we have to worry about not becoming too intrusive on marital relationships, not making everybody into tattletales legally. But these are issues that we have to confront in an age where there are lots of lone wolves out there, and we're not going to be able to easily catch them unless somebody who knows about what they're planning has an obligation to disclose it.
Yeah, I appreciate your legal perspective, but I'm still just having a hard time how this woman could go, scout out the area, hear what he was planning, go there with him to buy weapons and not inform FBI until after the fact. But I'm sure we'll learn more information in the coming days. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us here on Newsmax Prime.
Thank you.
And again, we want you to join us on the conversation. Feel free to give us a call. The number is right there on your screen. It's 1-877-7, did I say it right? 8777? Right, Newsmax. Give us a call or give us a call at 1-877-639-7629. Same number. When we return, Newsmax TV political consultant Dick Morris and more of your calls coming up. You are watching Newsmax Prime. We'll be right back.